First things first, we're going to log into our machine. We have to install an application called Hyper-V, but we're going to log in with the administrator account. Alright, you all know how to do that. Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. Now, one thing I love about these YouTube videos that I didn't recognize before is that you can slow down the speed of the video. Right now, that's something I'm going to take into consideration because the last 601 series, we just had very long videos. They were very detailed, but it's too long, and we don't want to go in that same step this time, right? We want to make the videos a little bit shorter. We still want to make them very informative, make sure that there's much detail as possible, but we want to also keep things moving along. So if things are moving too fast for you, if you're super brand new, just slow it down, right? Just slow down the speed and it will be perfect just for you. All right, let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. First thing we're gonna do is open up PowerShell. We're gonna right click PowerShell, run as administrator. And we're gonna do this to install Hyper-V. I'm gonna go full screen on you. And to install Hyper-V, we just have to hit this command right here. Hit enter. This is gonna install Hyper-V for us. This is going to Hyper-V is going to allow us to create virtual machines. So here we have our server. This is MS1, right? MS1, we're installing Hyper-V on it. Hyper-V is what we're going to use to create another virtual machine. All right, and after this is done, we're going to have to reboot our system. Okay, after this is done, we're gonna have to reboot our system. Why? Because we want this install to take effect. All the services that this install needs to take effect, we want that to happen. All the packages that we need to take effect for Hyper-V, we're going to force that to happen with the restart. So let's just go ahead, go to the start button, hit this power, select restart. This is going to restart the machine, apply all the installs, apply all the updates, and bring it back to us. Y'all, if you're not familiar with virtualization, it's a very key component in today's world. It's not going anywhere, where it's going to be used even more as time goes on, right? Virtualization allows us to take advantage of a lot of different things where we don't have to manage physical devices. Okay, so please take this lab seriously. Please go back and do it over and over again, not just this lab, but the rest of them as well. We don't want a one and done in lab, especially if you're new to this field. You need to be studying everything in these videos. You need to have a notepad. You need to have your Word document open, something open where you can document notes, maybe commands that we're typing in that you can remember for later. All of this isn't relevant to the exam, right? All these PowerShell commands, you're not going to be tested on these on the exam. Right, but it's still good to know. It's still good to have in your notebook for future references, especially when you are onboarding as a new employee into the field. All right, cool. So that is done. We're gonna log back in. Remember, we're logging in as the administrator. And what we're gonna do is go to the next section. Here we're going to start up Server Manager, right? We're going to use this shortcut to start up the Server Manager. Server Manager is a tool we can use on Windows servers. We use this to interact with other server type of applications, right? Such as Hyper-V. Hyper-V is a server application that we can use to create virtual machines. So let's go ahead and open that up. Right now, cool. We're going to highlight our MS-10 server and we're going to select the new button. Right, you see the options we have here: virtual machine, hard disk, and floppy disk. We want to create a new virtual machine. We're going to select that. And I'm going to put the answer here. It said, what is the option before virtual machine? It was hard disk. Right, I'll go back to it for you, right? When we hit new, you can see the option right here. The one right below virtual machine is hard disk. So I'm going to come back to where you are. I'm going to select new virtual machine. We're going to hit next. The name of this virtual machine is right here. It's going to be called My Lab VM. We're going to select next. We're going to make sure generation 1 is selected. The next question, does generation 2 support 32-bit operating system? No, it does not. Right, in the description here it says requires a supported 64-bit guest operating system. We can talk more about that, or we do talk more about that during our Security Fundamentals Academy. Alright, next we're going to allocate some memory to our virtual machine, 1024, that's already there. Hit next, we're going to allocate, we're going to skip this. This is next, just hit next. Over here, storage, we're going to allocate some storage to our hard drive. This is going to be 90. Okay. We are going to hit next. Now look at the options. It says install on the operating system later. That's what we're going to do. But if you look at the second option, we can install the operating system now. Right? We can install an operating system now with an ISO file. Right? Which is the answer to this question. If you wanted to install an operating system using a bootable device with an image file, what file extension does the image need to be? ISO is a file extension that it can be. Alright, cool. We're going to hit finish right here. And let that do its thing. It's going to create the disk. It's going to create our virtual machine. It's going to allocate the memory we just assigned it and the storage and get to work. Alright, next section, we're going to install the operating system on this virtual machine. This is going to be pretty easy. Let's right click the My Lab virtual machine and select settings. From here, we're going to look for, where is it? This DVD drive. Right, we're going to look for this DVD drive right here. And we're going to select physical CD DVD. Let me make sure we're on the right section though. In the hardware section, select DVD drive under IDE controller 1. Okay, cool. Right, and over here we're gonna select physical CD and make sure that the D drive is selected. Because on the D drive, we're going to have this CD loaded onto it. So let's select for step 4, we're going to select this CD, which is going to load itself onto the D drive. Right, you can see that it is on the D drive. Alright, cool. Gonna get this out the way. Alright, we're gonna hit apply. I'm gonna hit apply and then I'm gonna hit OK. Now we're going to right click on this and select connect. We're going to right click on this and select connect. We're going to hit start. Going to go back full screen. And now we're going to go through the installation process. Right? If you've ever installed your laptop or workstation tablet from scratch using Windows operating system, we're going through that process right now. Right, that process is going to ask us for an activation key, a product key. We don't have the product key. Okay, we do not have the product key, and that's okay. All right, so we're going to select next. We're going to select install now. Now, we are going to have to skip, well not skip, but some of this is going to take a while, and while it's running, we're going to select I don't have a product key right now. Right, some of this is going to take a while it's running, and while that is happening, we're going to just go on to some other sections. So we're going to go with the second option, standard desktop experience. Hit next. We're going to accept the license term. We're going to select custom install. We're going to select next. This is where we're going to install right on that 90 gigabyte disk that we created. This is where we're going to install the operating system. Hit next. Now this is the part that's going to take some time. Right? This is going to take about 5 to 10 minutes to completely install. We're going to let this run and go on to the next section. All right, we will come back once it is done to enter, we'll come back once this is done. So let's go to the next section. All right, so I'm going to minimize our virtual machine. We're going to minimize the virtual machine, and we're going to go and configure a switch, right? We're going to go and configure a switch. Before we configure that switch, let's go to the resources tab over here. In the resources tab, we need to make sure that this internal is selected on VLAN service, right? We need to make sure we select VLAN service for the internal. All right, now we're going to come back to instructions. Scroll down. Now we're going to configure our virtual switch. All right, the virtual switch manager is what we're going to use to configure this virtual switch. Here it is right here. So if I select this, you can see the options we have. We can create an external switch, which will bind with our physical network that we are currently using. We can create an internal switch, right, that will just run on this physical system, right? But we can create a private switch that will only be used by the virtual machine on this system. Only the virtual machine on this system. We have three options: external, that's going to bind to our physical network, so that this virtual machine we're creating can communicate. Well, let me start over. Remember, the virtual machine is inside of a server, right? It's inside of MS1, right? If we create an external switch, that virtual machine will be able to communicate with other devices on our network, other physical devices on our network. If we create an internal switch, right, this is going to create a virtual switch that can be used only by the virtual machines that run on this physical computer, and between the virtual machines and the physical computer. Right, so it can only be used by the virtual machines we create on this physical computer. Right, so if we created more virtual machines on this physical computer, this switch is only going to relay traffic around virtual machines on that physical computer and the physical computer. So if we do a private switch, then we're only creating a switch that is going to relay traffic to the virtual machines, right? Nothing else but the virtual machine, not the system it's living on, but just the virtual machine. So we're going to select private switch, but this answer right here is external, right? This is the first option there, it's external. But we are going to use a private switch to start out with, and we're going to create virtual switch. Select private and then select create virtual switch. Right, the name of this private virtual switch is going to be private lab switch. And then we're going to select OK. Then we're going to create another virtual switch. The next one we're going to create is going to be an external virtual switch. Alright, so let's go back to the virtual switch manager, and we're going to select external, then we're going to select create virtual switch. And now we're going to rename this to external lab switch. Alright, this is going to be the external lab switch. And the connection type verify external network is selected. It is selected. Right, and that Microsoft Hyper-V network adapter is in the drop down. That is the one we are using. This one, not number 4, but this one. Alright, we're going to select OK. And we're going to select yes. Let's check on the progress of our virtual machine. It's at 95%. This is at 95%. Alright, so we're going to go to the next section while that is running. Next section, this is where we need the virtual machine actually. This is where we need that virtual machine. Because this is when we jump into it on the MS-10 virtual machine. Right click the Windows Start button. That's going to be done on the virtual machine. That's what this note is talking about. In order to continue from this point, the operating system installation has to be complete. Alright, if you skipped ahead while the operating system was installing, please return to the install and operating the system on the virtual machine exercise. Alright, so we have to wait. Alright, we have to wait. And this was step 14 that we were supposed to do in the customized setting. Windows enter in both, yeah. We have to wait, we have to wait, we have to wait. Alright, so let's see where it's at. Alright, so it's finishing up. It's installing the updates. Actually gonna zoom out. Okay, that's good. And I'm gonna detach this. See if I can get a bigger screen. Let's see. Trying to play around with the resolution. See if we can get something bigger. Alright, so this is it's booting up. It's booting up, booting up, booting up, booting up. We'll give this a few, let this do its thing, and we'll get right into it once it is done. We are back. So over here, this is where the other step came in handy. The step that we had skipped. So I'm going to go back a few steps. I'm going to put this guy right over here. I'm going to go back a few steps to the installing an operating system on the virtual machine section. At the bottom, we have the password that we have to enter. Here, I'm going to put these back together. Alright, we have the passwords that we need to enter. This is it. Enter that one more time. We're going to hit finish. Now I'm going to skip a few sections ahead to catch up to where we are. So let's pick up from where we left off. So this is our virtual machine. I'm going to minimize this for the next set of instructions. Alright, so it says on MS-10 virtual machine, right click on the start button and select Windows PowerShell. We already have that started up. We're going to type ipconfig. Okay, ipconfig, what are they asking us for here? Find the IPv4 address for the Ethernet adapter switch for the external lab switch. So here it is. External lab switch is 10.1.16.13. 10.1.16.13. Cool. Right, on the MS-10 virtual machine in Hyper-V. Alright, so we want to open up this Hyper-V application. We want to right click on this and go to settings. Right click on our virtual lab. Go to settings. And we want to connect this virtual machine to the new virtual switch that we created. So to do that, we're going to go over here to this external tab. And we're going to switch this to private. Right, this should be on the private lab switch. Private lab switch. Let's select OK. We're going to switch back to this My Lab virtual machine. So that's this guy right here. We're going to switch back to My Lab virtual machine. Alright, they want us to hit Control-Alt-Delete in the My Lab, select Actions, sign into the administrator. We're already logged in. Okay, we are already logged in. If you need to log in, I'm going to minimize this. You just have to hit the action button up here and then select Control-Alt-Delete. That is how you're going to log in. We are already logged in. So we're going to go to the start button and we'll right click the start button and then select network connections. Then we're going to select change connection properties. Or no, change adapter options, I'm sorry. We're going to select change adapter options right here. Okay, and then we're get this Ethernet and we're going to right click it and go to properties. Now let's double click IPv4 right here. We're going to double click this. It's going to give us some options. I already have them entered in here. We have 10.1.16.225. We have our subnet mask. We have our default gateway. And we have our preferred DNS. All you have to do is click one of them at a time. Here, let's see. I'll do it with you. So this guy, gonna hit that. This guy, there we go. Whoops. The next one, it's gonna be preferred. No, this is the default gateway. Should be 10.1.16.254, and then the preferred DNS is 10.1.16.1. All right, make sure everything is right. 10.1.16.225, 225.225.250, 10.1.16.254, 10.1.16.1. All right, we're gonna hit OK, and we're gonna hit OK again. Now we want to open up PowerShell. I'm just going to right click the start menu and start up Windows PowerShell with admin. Alright, what do we want to do? We want to ping this address. Alright, so this is trying to ping our MS1 machines. Alright, this is MS1 right here. Inside of MS1, we created a VM. Right now, we're trying to use the VM to ping MS1. That's not going to work. Why? Because we are on a private switch. The private switch, remember that it's only going to relay data to the virtual machines, between the virtual machines, not back to the host that it's sitting on. Alright, so that is not going to work. Next, we're going to go back to our Hyper-V application, right? We're going to come back here. We're going to right-click Settings, and we're going to switch this network adapter from private lab to external lab switch. We're going to hit OK. We're going to go back to our virtual machine lab, right? And now we're going to, let's cancel this out. Now we're going to ping it again. We're on the external switch. This will work. Why? Because the external switch allows us to communicate with that device, with the host that it allows us to communicate with the host our virtual machine lives on. Good job, good job, good job, good job, good job, y'all. You have created your own virtual environment. You even went to the extent of creating some networking infrastructure for this virtual environment. Pretty dope. Alright, so what PowerShell command is used to install Hyper-V? I believe it was this one. How do you create a new virtual machine in Hyper-V? I can't remember. So let's see. In Hyper-V, where's Hyper-V at? To create a new virtual machine, we're going to select New and then Virtual Machine. There you go. Devices connected to an external Hyper-V switch can connect with other devices. Select all correct answers. Other devices connected to the switch, the host computer. Other devices on the network. Yes. What is a true statement about a Hyper-V private virtual switch? Connect to a private switch, can connect on no. Cannot connect, no. Virtual machine can private switch, can connect to the host computer, no. Yes. And that is it, y'all. If you enjoyed this video as much as I did, please don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you in the next video, y'all.